Well, everybody, welcome to BBCG and Friends, and very pleased and honored to have Mikey Grabbags with me. Mikey, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for inviting me. This is the first time I've ever been invited on a network show, to my at least to my understanding. So I'm happy to be here. I know we tried to connect a couple times. I'm sorry that schedules didn't work out, but glad to be here.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it very much, and you know, we'll get to it in a little bit, but I want to give you big props as you know, the song "This Is Jeff D. Lowe" is a classic KMS parody song at this point. It's when you think of classic tunes, you're thinking of "Born to Run," you're thinking of "Stairway to Heaven," and "This Is Jeff D. Lowe." So it's all right there.
Yeah, that's high praise, and there, as I sort of said, there are a lot of great parody songs out there. I'm glad that people like it and that it was sort of catchy, etc. I will say there are ones that I certainly think are much better from a technical and creative and all that standpoint. But I'm happy that people have enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was obviously the song of the summer of 2024. So,
and what I will say about Jeff, a lot of people give him guff. He's a great guy, and literally, at the maybe 2 seconds after the last lyric of that song played on KMS, I had a nice message from Jeff, and he's a very good guy. We message a decent amount. We're in the Kirk's favorite thing, the Fonz, together, and I'm a big fan of the old Lights Camera Barstool podcast. They have the new show coming up soon, so I am not an anti Jeff D. Lowe guy, despite what some of those lyrics in that song may have suggested.
Yeah, it was all done in fun, and like I said, really enjoyed it. So
yeah, thank you.
Glad to have you. Let's shift to you and talk about your musical background and experiences. Tell me about what you were listening to when you were growing up.
Yeah, so I was sorry, I had a alarm go off and make sure none else are on. They can cut this out, I assume. Just want to make sure nothing else goes off. All right. Yes, so I was a mid-'80s kid, so growing up, my parents were both born in the 50s, so it was a lot of in the house. My dad is a big Eagles fan, so it was a lot of Eagles, Stones, Beatles, etc. And then my mom, I grew up in Massachusetts area. My mom was a sort of true New Yorker, so she was big into Broadway stuff. So I heard a lot of that growing up. She did community theater, all that. So she was always in shows locally, and hearing a lot of that music was played over the years. But in terms of when I sort of finally got a hold of my first kind of in-home radio or got to pick the station, I was definitely a WBCN Boston kid for the most part. So Smashing Pumpkins, Oasis, Pearl Jam, Dave Matthews Band, U2, those are a lot of my kind of early sort of music I was listening to, and sort of the mid 90s, I guess, is what I would say, sort of started to get my own musical taste and occasionally get a hold of the radio in the car.
Your mom grew up in New York?
Yes, she grew up in Long Island, but they were in the city frequently, I would say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. On Long
Yeah, I don't know how well you know Long Island, but my wife and I relocated up to New Hampshire from Northport, which is out near Huntington.
Okay. Yeah, they were Babylon, and then my grandparents moved to Middle Island, kind of after, sort of right up. It's 20 minutes from wherever the Bridgeport ferry used to kick us out. I remember doing that drive many a Thanksgiving morning hungover in my college years.
Right. So mid 90s sounds like a lot of grunge, a lot of alternative, little Dave Matthews, little jam band stuff.
Yeah, a little bit of that too. Yes. And then as high school also, I definitely sort of playing sports, weight rooms, you hear kind of a little bit of everything. I definitely went through I would say at a high school and college, sort of rap phase, where I wouldn't say I'm going back and listening to a ton of it, but I was sort of 2001 by Dr. Dre, the Eminem, the Blueprint Jay-Z album. Those are a lot of sort of the early things that I remember listening to. Kind of.
Okay. What years were you in college, Mike?
I graduated in 2005, so.
Oh, okay. 2005. Yep. So what was the first album or CD, probably a CD, that you purchased?
I remember having the tape cassette. So I don't remember what the first album was, but I definitely had the experience of like, oh, I want to hear this song on Kiss 108 or WBCN and having to cue it up and and record it on the tape cassette. So I definitely had that experience. I kind of funny in that age. It was like from middle school to high school. I think I went through like tape cassette, CD player, and then the MP3 player.
Right.
All kind of early on because Napster kind of hit when I was in high school. But I would guess my first tape would probably have been, I would guess, Smashing Pumpkins, because I was never like a hard rock guy. Like I kind of liked Rage Against the Machine, but I was not crazy about sort of that hard level of rock. So that would be my guess just for that time frame.
Okay. Have you seen them live?
I never saw them live, actually. I went through sort of this was my first concert, and went through kind of all the what I've seen at Great Woods, et cetera, as I was prepping for this, but I never saw them live, unfortunately.
Yeah, neither have I. I missed them completely. So I know they're
Billy Corgan's like a wrestling promoter or something crazy now, or something along those lines, or it's like he's at an interesting kind of post major fame career.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy to listen to. I heard him recently with Conan O'Brien. Very it seems like he thinks very highly of himself.
Yeah, that's the vibe that I get too, which famous people, women throwing themselves at you, a lot of money. I guess how that can happen unless you kind of have a steady, close group of guys that'll break your balls and et cetera. Because I think otherwise, everyone probably with fame and money is destined to go that way.
Yeah, I think it is.
You get enough people telling you you're important, you're going to start believing it.
Right. So you mentioned Great Woods. So talk to me about your first concert experience.
Yes, my first concert was there. It was the 1998 WBCN River Rave, which was a sort of summer festival that they did. And it was actually pretty loaded lineup. Like if you look at the names that were on it. So it was the kind of Blink 182 was there, but not a headliner. Like they had a second stage basically, and then they had a main stage. So Blink 182 was early enough that they were on sort of the off stage. It was, Damn It had come out. Yeah, it's come out, but that was about it for them in terms of like they hadn't had I think their second album was really kind of blew them up, but it was Green Day, The Offspring, Creed, Semisonic, Soul Asylum. Like in terms of bands whose names I think kind of stuck around for a while, it was a good one as far as that concert goes.
Yeah, that is quite a crew. Soul Asylum is a sneaky favorite of mine.
Yeah, they're good. They had good stuff. I remember the Offspring were a problem because they at that particular concert they caused a whole lot of hell where they first have you been to Great Woods or seen the venue or basically know the setup of it, how it's basically
so
seating and then there's the lawn in back.
Yeah. So Mikey, that's Great Woods is now like Mansfield, right?
Yep, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So I saw Springsteen. Yeah. I saw Springsteen there in 2009, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the Offspring essentially first encouraged everyone to throw their trash onto the stage because they thought that would be funny, and then they encouraged everyone in the lawn area to effectively like bum rush the seating area just because they wanted it to be kind of loaded up front, and it was just a complete shit show in that regard. It was funny for me as a young teen, but I can't imagine that security loved it too much. It just kind of, and obviously something like that results in 20 minutes of turmoil after kind of cleaning everything out and getting everyone out of there. So
yeah,
I was a little aggravated by it, but other than that, it was a great experience.
Like, who was the headliner that day?
I believe Green Day
Green Day, right?
closed it, from what I remember. I
Hmm.
was looking it up actually. I have it up, and I can tell you in a sec. Maybe they alphabetized this. I think it was Green Day though.
Yeah, that makes sense, right?
Yeah. Unless they did like they got them out of there and then had someone sort of lower key, but I think that was definitely the marquee name, at least on the set.
Okay. Um, just a
And
quick
those were a
note.
fun time. There was like you got sort of 7 or 8 songs by everyone, and you were there for the full day. And I went to a couple of them, and it was like you could get like a good experience. It wasn't just 2 songs and they're out. Like it was actually a fun time for sure.
Yeah, I used to go to and I did it for about 3 or 4 years, the Horde
Yeah.
festival. And during that time I saw Blues Traveler. Obviously they were kind of the headliners of it, but Dave Matthews was there, Counting Crows, Black Crows, Lenny Kravitz, Rusted Root. Got to see a bunch of fun bands. I used to love festivals. I don't think I could deal with one now, but they were a good time. You mentioned Soul Asylum, and I wanted to ask you, um, they do one of my favorite covers. Are you familiar with their version of Sexual Healing?
I think I've heard it before. I don't remember hearing it that day, but I think they did. I've definitely heard that before. They're good.
Yeah, I love it. It's like a top 10 cover of mine, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, it was again, like I was looking at it, and I kind of forgot about Blink 182 just because it was sort of so early on in there. Like it was, you get your bang for what was probably like a $30 ticket back then too.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah. What have you seen more recently?
So more recently, I'm trying to think. I think the last two concerts that I went to sort of for myself, I went with my dad to the Long Goodbye tour at the Garden, the Eagles. And I saw Bruce at the Garden in March of 2023.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm definitely I think if I were to judge myself against sort of when I hear you and Kirk talk about it, I'm definitely a fraud Springsteen fan from that perspective. But it was one of those in the sense that, like, okay, you go see U2 or whoever, you're getting all the hits basically. Like, and I think what's nice about Springsteen for the diehards is, like, if you go there as a casual fan, you're going to hear like 6 songs you may have heard once in your life, which I think is
That's right.
Which is a cool thing. But I would say for me, and I knew that going in, I was going with a buddy from town who's a huge Springsteen fan, and it was one of those acts where it's like, okay, you kind of want to see him, even though I know it's not tailored for a dummy casual fan like myself. I knew it's an act that you kind of want to see once before he hangs it up, etc. And it was good because it was like he ended with Badlands, sort of the main set, and then the encore was Born to Run, Glory Days, Dance in the Dark. Like it definitely was it scratched the itch from, hey, I have to see this guy once, and also like I didn't just sit there like an idiot not knowing anything that was going on.
Yeah, absolutely. That tour, he played a lot from his newer album, and he had some definite themes going on about getting old and mortality. But you're right. The last 5 or 6 songs of the main set, and then into the encore. I mean, you got what you pay. That's where the casual fan would get, like you said, get their bang for the buck for sure.
Yeah, and I think the TD Garden Boston is like still pretty good acoustics, etc. for a place that was built in 1995, which is unfortunately kind of old for stadiums these days. I think it does still hold up for a concert venue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so you said these were concerts that you went to for yourself. So
oh yeah, no, I mean as a married man, I've started to get dragged to stuff too. So I think the last one I'm trying to think. I think the last one was probably, we saw Brett Eldridge for Christmas that my wife really wanted to go to, and he did a holiday like a big holiday tour. I think at the Wang Center, and I saw him there, and it was not my idea of a night out, but in terms of happy wife, happy life.
That's how we live.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've gone to a couple. She's I've seen Justin Timberlake a few more times than I probably would have on my own, also because of her being like a fan of kind of that era of music. Although I did enjoy. I saw the Timberlake Jay-Z concert at Fenway when they did that. I think it was 2013.
Okay.
And that was actually like a hell of a show. Like Jay-Z's, I was super impressed. We went with another couple, and the guy is a big drummer, and he was like, his mouth was watering how impressed he was at Jay-Z's drummer because he was able to play live, which I guess a lot of kind of rap percussion is generally not done that way, and just able to like keep up with it and everything. So I would give Timberlake credit. He puts on a good show. Like if that's what you're looking for, you definitely get the experience of him for sure. So I guess if you have to get dragged to something, that was not a bad one to get dragged
to. It's funny you mentioned that because my wife coming up is going to see Keith Urban at Mohegan Sun, and that would be one that I would be dragged to, except her sister is coming up from Florida to see
newly single Keith Urban. Better keep her.
That's right.
Keep his eyes away.
I tweeted something out the other day that once my wife heard the news, and I found a GIF of a car pulling out of a driveway and her headed to Mohegan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. She's a big fan of his for a few reasons. What was your concert peak? What was your favorite show or most memorable show over the years?
Yeah, I was looking at what I had seen the most when I was kind of going through stuff, and I don't know that it's necessarily like my favorite music, but I would kind of say like college and post-college, I have a whole lot of go have 20 Bud Lights and go outside to a music type of thing. With like I've seen OAR a ton. I saw Kenny Chesney every summer for a while. Dave Matthews Band I've seen a bunch, and that was probably all in the kind of high school, college, right out of college phase. And again, like it's all, I don't know that it would be my favorite music if I had to sort of get Desert Island with one kind of group, and I don't actually know who that would be. It'd probably be Pearl Jam, even though I don't. But I think all good times at those shows, right? Like it's a fun atmosphere, and it's kind of they're great social concerts, I guess is how I would describe them.
Yeah, yep. Is there a band or an artist that is still on your to-do list that you haven't seen that you want to see?
That's a good question. I have a young elementary school daughter, so I mean, from a dad standpoint, certainly want to do the take her to Taylor Swift surprise thing at some point in life. I think that will be a fun experience that I've already started saving $50 a paycheck for or whatever for for what her concerts run
for a year.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Hopefully she doesn't go on tour for a few years. Yeah, I need more than that. I've seen kind of everybody that I think I would want to see. I've seen, and I have not developed, I think like sort of once I hit 30-ish, I have not picked up a whole lot of new music that I love. Like I don't mind Morgan Wallen, etc., in terms of sort of the newish, like bro country, etc. But I don't have like a lot of new rock music that I love. So I think I've seen everyone that I want to see, and now it's a matter of sort of going again and or like who holds up, right? Because I mean, you see some of these. What you get worried about is that they get older. Like I was impressed with Springsteen in terms of like how kind of hard he went for his age, and I would imagine that the majority of artists lack the ability to do that.
Well, the unique thing about him, obviously, he's playing guitar, he's singing, and he's all over the stage as opposed to just kind of standing still and singing. He's definitely a unique species. when it comes to live performance. Um,
I would definitely want to see. I think, like, I'm trying to think of, like, I'd like to take my kids at some point to some of the music, because I remember getting dragged to like the Hat Shelf or like a couple of these places by my parents of music that I liked growing up. So I think like Dave Matthews Band or Kenny Chesney, I think would be fun to take the kids to, just as a, hey, this is the music that mom and dad listened to growing up standpoint. I think that would probably be what I would do next, is probably that from that perspective.
Yeah. I mean, I have a few gaping holes. I mean, but Pearl Jam is the one that I've missed all these years. I need to get to Pearl Jam.
Yeah, I saw them. I'm trying to think when it was. I have not seen them in any of the recent tours though, but I saw them kind of college age. And they were great, but it's, again, those guys are like 60s now, so it's and that's not like too old for the earth, but I understand that's old for traveling and singing. Like it's no joke.
Yeah, for sure. So let me close with kind of where we started. And so you did reference some of the other classic KMS song parodies. I wanted to ask you, putting This Is Jeff D. Lowe aside, do you have 3 or 4 that you would kind of call out as
yes, and this is Jeff D. Lowe would not be in my top 8, I don't think. Like,
okay,
I think there are 4-ish. I mean, there's a lot of great ones. So I love the McLean Is Your Home.
Mikey, that's my number 1. I love that song.
That's up there. The Meli Kalikimaka, Kirk's roommate song is a great one. The Steve Murdered Me is a great one. And then there's, I mean, obviously, like, Steve's a Liar. Warden has a lot of great ones. The impressive thing with those guys, because I did this sort of dumb AI thing, which I've joked is like, I feel like a little bit like Oppenheimer in terms of what it has dropped onto KMS, because there was a lot of people dropped songs thereafter that were not necessarily like funny. It was just like, hey, this rhymes. And
yes,
I guess including myself, I think one kind of ish stinker in that run. But I think what I was always impressed with is like the guys like Steve's a Liar, Guy Warden, etc. Like, what was incredible to me was how quick they would write stuff and pump stuff out, and like within a day or two of something being a story on the show, they would have sort of something incredible. Like the Steve Murdered Me, for example. Like, that was, he told the story about hitting the deer, and then maybe like 2 days later that was out, and it was like professional quality and like 30 good funny lyrics.
Yeah, the bed and breakfast one is a good one too.
Yeah,
to the Hotel California.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of, it seems like we've lost some of those guys, which is unfortunate, but hopefully, I mean, it feels like the show is back on a good, I think, to me at least, I feel like the show is rolling again. I think Dave being back helps a lot. I think that whatever was going on with Justin and Kirk seems to have died down a little bit, where there's not like the tenseness to it, and I think the show is kind of rolling again. So hopefully we get some singer-songwriters out there. Hopefully we get the Bobby Costas and the next generation of these guys.
That's right.
That actually that have the musical talent to put something together and dump something out there for everybody.
Well,
and as I said, right. I said to Bobby one time, where I forget what it was, but I sent him a message. And I was like, when he had one song that was not great, and sort of said, nobody remembers that. Like the thought. So if there are people out there listening to the Billboard Chart Guy and Friends show, like, don't be afraid to throw something out there. And if the answer is, that's not great, and they turn it off after 40 seconds, like, the world will keep spinning and nobody will think about it thereafter.
That's right. But your song and Bobby's Mutnansky are the kind of the later day classics in my
Yeah, exactly. I think, like I said, I wouldn't want to go head to head with any of those old greats, but I'm glad that I was able to put something out that people get a kick out of, and
yeah, it's
including Jeff also, which is a good thing.
It is amazing because like you hear a topic on the show and like I'm like, oh my God, this would be a good song. And I start and I maybe write 2 lines.
Yep.
And by the way, I don't know how I'm going to produce it. I don't know how to add music, right? I don't know what I do, but in my mind, I start writing stuff down and I'm like, ugh. And by the time I'm like, they're on to 3 other topics.
Yeah. I think you kind of need, I think what brought me into pretty much retirement was like, you need to be a musician who's funny, a songwriter who's funny, not a funny person trying to write a song.
Right.
I think is the reality there, because there's ways those guys can kind of pump stuff out and, okay, what should be the funny part of the hook here, as opposed to just sort of a dumb joke of Jeff going down in 9/11.
Yeah.
Like in terms of the long run of things.
Oh God. Well, listen, Mikey, this is great. I really appreciate you doing it. And hopefully we'll meet in Laconia.
I'll be there. Yes. I was there this past year. I was coaching youth basketball, so I kind of finished my day of that, drove up and drove back. So I'm hoping kind of next year to make a sort of full weekend out of it. And my ability to do that will help by the fact that the Christmas extravaganza was canceled, because I think I did not have the, hey, I'm leaving December 20th for KMS event conversation with my wife. And I don't think that would have gone.
Not when you have younger kids. Not when you have younger kids.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not the gift wrapper, et cetera, in the house. So it would have been a problematic conversation. So
absolutely.
I'm glad that I can sort of hold out for Laconia and hopefully make a full weekend out of it.
Great. Well, I hope to see you there.
And hopefully we can say hello or have a drink or whatever there.
Absolutely. Appreciate you doing this. And I want to thank everybody who listens, and obviously Kirk and Menners behind the scenes, and hope to talk to everybody real soon. Have a great day.